Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Hardware Podcast. My name's Jackson Danner alongside my good friend Omar Borja. We are kind of transitioning out of our players of the week that we've done so far this year. We're moving into specific awards, and what better one to start out with than the Biletnikoff Award?
Absolutely. Really an open race because a lot of group of five guys are stepping up, as we'll talk about today. And I mean,
There's
there's
no
not really many,
Devontae Smith either. That's
not
clear.
really, not really. I mean, you look at the receiving leaders, it's a pretty even race all the way to the top. And even the guys in the Power Five that are leading the standings, they're on disappointing teams to say the least. So, yeah, I'm excited to talk about some receivers, even though I'm a high school corner. So, let's talk receivers.
I thought you were special teams.
Well, yeah. I mean, every
Oh,
special teamer has their own position. I mean,
I know. I know.
like
But
Matthew Slater's receiver,
if
doesn't ever get
if
thrown
you
to.
can't play special teams, you can't play.
Exactly. Terrell Davis, man, just look at that. That's a special player right there. He's starting special teams.
Exactly. Yeah, man. So I'll let you go ahead and go. Who are some of your top 4 or 5 guys that you're looking at?
Yeah. So my top guys, I got number one. I got Drake London, honestly, at number one, and a close second, Calvin Austin. And I'll explain in a little bit. And then third and fourth, I got Jacob Cowing of UTEP. And then fourth, I got Tyrese Chambers. Tyrese Chambers being a real wild card. So just going through 1 through 4, I like Drake London because he's got really great stats. It's actually comparable to Calvin Austin. He's got more catches. Austin's a more explosive player. Drake London has 64 catches for 832 yards and 5 touchdowns. Austin is 50 for 857. But I just think him being a USC receiver, following the tradition of, man, like at least in our lifetime, you got guys like Dwayne Jarrett, Dwayne Jarrett. You got Steve Smith, heck, even Robert Woods, Marquise Lee, Juju Smith-Schuster. Just so many good Nelson Aguilar, so many good receivers coming from USC. I gotta say that the voters kind of have that bias towards London winning the Biletnikoff. Austin's a close second because if Memphis were in the New Year's Six race, then of course I'd have Austin number one. But this is kind of a down year for Calvin Austin and for Memphis itself. They're 4-3, I believe, right now. Um, so I got Austin close second, but explosive 50 catches for 857 yards. Also does a good amount of work on the ground, which I don't have the ground stats pulled up. But also, too, he's got kind of like a Biletnikoff moment, if you will. The whole controversial punt return against Mississippi State. I'd say it's a huge Biletnikoff moment in itself. He also ran a reverse for a touchdown, too. Trying to pull up his stats. There we go. Calvin Austin the third, trying to get his rushing stats here. And running the ball. I mean, yeah, he's got 1 carry for 69 yards. I thought he ran the ball more. So yeah, Calvin Austin at number 2 for me. 3 and 4, I got a couple of Conference USA guys. I got Jacob Cowing, and I like these guys because of the yards per catch factor. Because what's more exciting for fans than a deep ball? Look at Jacob Cowing. He's got 35 catches for 775 yards. That's way over 20 yards per catch for UTEP, and UTEP being one of the best stories, if not the best story of the college football season right now. This team was straight down horrendous as much as 3 years ago. And now they're clinched full eligibility. They got a big game November 6th against UTSA. Great times. And then the other Conference USA guy, I love Tyrese Chambers. FIU, Max Bortenschlager and FIU are throwing the ball great. Bortenschlager had like 436 passing yards last week. And Tyrese Chambers is his main target. Chambers is averaging an amazing, let's see, 33 and a half yards per catch with 20 catches and 672 yards. And 6 of those catches have gone for touchdowns. So if you do your fractions right, kids, 30% of Tyrese Chambers touchdowns are catches are touchdowns. So that's why I like Chambers at 5. Now, can he keep that pace up? We'll see. It's a very unrealistic pace, but for him to have those stats after 6 games, like, I think he deserves consideration in the top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and like you said in the beginning, there's so many guys with such strong resumes this year. There really is no like clear front runner on this, but yeah, all those guys deserve attention. And yeah, man, I'll go ahead and move into kind of my top 4 or 5. I've got Jalen Cropper, number 1, the wide receiver from Fresno State, 48 receptions, 546 yards, 10 touchdowns. Does have a couple fumbles, which is not the best. I will say he also has 11 rushes for a touchdown and passing perfect QBR, 1 for 1, 51 yards and 1 touchdown. So he's scoring points all I mean every possible way you can pretty much. As Biletnikoff moment, if you will, a 4 touchdown game versus UNLV, which was an insane performance as a receiver. And Fresno State, I mean, look at it this way. They control their own destiny. I know I'm going to get into it a little bit later with games to watch this week, but they've got Nevada, they've got San Diego State on the road, Boise State, New Mexico, and then they conclude on the road versus San Jose State. And it doesn't hurt when you've got, I don't know, Jake Haener throwing you the ball every week. So certainly, he's certainly got the ceiling that he can, a really high ceiling that he can reach with Haener throwing the ball. I've got Josh Downs, the wide receiver from North Carolina, next. 60 receptions, 837 yards, 8 touchdowns. Again, 1 fumble. He's caught at least 1 touchdown in every game this year, in a year where Stephon Diggs has 2. So, I mean, the consistency that Josh Downs is showing is incredible, especially in such an up and down year for North Carolina. And same thing with Jake Haener. He's got Sam Howell throwing on the ball, which certainly doesn't hurt. Got Jarrett Stearns next, wide receiver from Western Kentucky, 69 receptions, almost 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, averaging 14 yards per catch. Also got a handful of rushes on there. He's got 3 touchdown games. So whenever he does score, be looking for him to score again. And man, Bailey Zappi, the transfer quarterback, he's had himself a heck of a year. From Houston Baptist, I believe. Am I remembering that right?
Yeah, Houston Baptist, the team that has the Walgreens on one side of its stadium.
I did not know that about Western Baptist. I'm gonna have to look that up later. That is funny. I mean, I guess it's convenient. You can get whatever you need. But finally, as you mentioned, Calvin Austin, a man who needs no introduction. 50 receptions, 857 yards, 8 touchdowns, another rush for a touchdown. Every game, similar Stearns had at least 1 touchdown or 100 yards. And I mean, all these guys we've talked about, Zappi, Howell, Haener, he's got Seth Hennigan, which no offense to Seth, but I mean, it's not Sam Howell or Jake Haener throwing in the ball. So the fact he's put up that kind of production is really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, Hennigan's a young quarterback. He's a freshman. I have no doubt that he'll get to Brady White.
Oh,
Riley
no, I
Ferguson.
think he's a perfectly fine quarterback. I'm just saying, like, I mean, you've got a guy in his 5th year, an NFL quarterback, and Jake Haener. Like, I mean, the fact that he's putting up those sorts of numbers is crazy.
Oh yeah. I mean, I totally agree with you for sure. It's interesting the point that you have with Jalen Cropper. I see. I kind of overlook touchdowns because I mean, I feel like the Biletnikoff, and I'll have to do more research after this, but I'm pretty sure I feel like the Biletnikoff looks more towards the yards and catches, like those volume statistics, more so than touchdowns. I mean, Cropper's got a great case for sure being on a winning Fresno State team, especially if this team plays very well against San Diego State. I think he's got a great case, but the yards, I mean, if the yards were comparable to guys like Stearns, Austin, London, Downs, then I feel like he'd have a better case. I feel like the yards hurt him there. That's my opinion there. I think, but I mean,
he's still
like
averaging over 10 yards a catch. That's the thing to me, though, that he still has a pretty good average. And I mean, he's the only one right now with double-digit touchdowns, I believe. So like any time that you can get just that many points on the board, that's a big difference. But I will say, of course, you need the yards and that sort of production as well. And that's where Downs and Stearns especially really succeed, and Austin, obviously.
Yeah, I agree with you on that front for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a solid list. Like you can go like we've been saying, you can go with any one of these guys. I got a couple sleepers. Do you have a couple guys like sleepers that are just bubbling under the rest of these guys? Because I got 2 guys in mind in particular.
Go for it.
Okay, so I like David Bell a lot as a sleeper for the Biletnikoff, especially after what happened last week against Iowa. David Bell is an amazing receiver for Purdue. Had over 200 yards against that really stiff Iowa defense. He is hurt because he did miss 1 game with a bad injury, but he came right back, didn't miss a beat. So I like Bell, and especially with Purdue being ranked, They're in the top 25 right now, and they have that win against Iowa. I wouldn't say it's a stretch that if they win out, now it's going to be tough for them to win out. If they win out, then they might have a case for the New Year's Six, and that would boost a David Bell's campaign for the Biletnikoff. I also like Jalen Tolbert of South Alabama as an underdog. He's got 36 catches, 718 yards. If he ups that yards per catch to about 20 and a little bit low on the touchdowns, he only got 2 touchdowns. But if he ups the yards per catch, I think he's got a good case for it as well. One thing that is interesting is I feel like the Biletnikoff, I mean, they're open to group of five guys, I guess being finalists. 2018, Andy Isabella, over 100 catches on a 4-8 UMass team. He was a finalist for the Biletnikoff. Really a great story there out there in Amherst. So I feel like the Biletnikoff is very open for a group of five guys. We might see like a lot of them too, or a couple in the what is it, the Home Depot Award ceremony.
Yeah, I believe it is the college football awards presented by Home Depot or something like that. Yeah. And there really are no outstanding Power 5 receivers. I mean, obviously I mentioned Downs. You can make that argument for Keyshawn Bout, who is dealing with an ankle injury right now. But I mean, there is no one like I said earlier, there's no Devontae Smith. If he wasn't a tight end, you could have made the argument for Kyle Pitts last year. Like, there is no one that is just like ridiculous top 5 Jamar Chase type talent that's out there right now, which certainly we love that because it gives guys like Cropper and Austin Stearns more attention. But it is something to keep an eye on. It's going to be a fun one. I know this is not far from the last time we're going to talk about the Biletnikoff because it's definitely one of our favorite awards to talk about on here. And so as we get closer to December, I'm sure we'll talk about it again. But moving on to the kind of the Heisman portion of our show, is there a shakeup in your top 5? Because I think we were kind of negligent last week and not
Yes,
mentioning.
we were. I wouldn't say it's as much a shakeup as much more so than an addition, and that addition being Kenny
When
Pickett.
edit.
Yeah, and one edit, and it's interesting because me and John Glowatz from the Big Northeast Pod on the Northeast Bull Rush earlier this week, he asked me about my thoughts on the Kenny Pickett Heisman race. I was all for it. I thought he was a very prime candidate, especially if Pitt wins out and ends up in Charlotte on the first weekend of December. John, not so much. And I understand that too, because it's kind of weird seeing a Pittsburgh quarterback put up numbers this great. But Kenny Pickett is, I mean, he's rolling through the ACC, and this is a year where really it's anyone's ACC between the three of Pitt, NC State, and Wake Forest, and even Clemson. They only have one conference loss. Excuse me. So I think Pickett is in there. He's in the top 5 at least. I want to hear your order first, Jackson. Yeah, let's hear your order first. If you're ready, I can do mine if not.
No, I got it right here. So I'm sticking with Desmond Ridder at my top, right there, especially in order for him to have a really good shot at winning, SMU Cincinnati needs to be the biggest game of that week. Like, so no one should be pulling, well, I mean, obviously he shouldn't care, but no one should be pulling for SMU than Desmond Ridder Heisman fans at the top there, because that has to be his. Notre Dame was a great win for them, obviously. But I mean, it's not like they won the game because of Ridder. They couldn't have won it without him, but they also didn't win it because of it. I don't know if that makes sense, that distinction. So Ridder still needs a strong Heisman moment. I feel like that could be it. It's also a great storyline with the Peach Bowl loss. I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker next. How can you not, with the production he's had out of Michigan State? I was a little hesitant to put it back that early. That's why I had him at number 3 last week. But seeing, gosh, he has so much support, honestly, for that Heisman race. I know RG3, I believe, had him in his top 1 or 2 spots as well. So Kenneth Walker, he's gained a lot of traction, and that's awesome to see. So I feel better about putting him near the top. Got Kenny Pickett 3rd. I can't believe we didn't mention the production he had just so far all this year. I know. I don't know how he missed that. I've got Bryce Young fourth just because is Bryce Young. He is Bryce Young and he plays at Alabama. So anytime you're an Alabama star like that, you can't ignore him. Then Bijan Robinson is who I'm rounding out my list by. I dropped CJ Stroud. I've been on the train. I still think he has a moment yet to come if he ends up being a finalist or something like that. Still got Penn State, still got Michigan State, still got Michigan. So plenty more to come. But man, I know we're going to be talking a lot about CJ Stroud versus Kenneth Walker, even though, as we always say, they're not on the field at the same time, but that's always how we phrase matchups.
I mean, my list is very similar. I am a bit iffy on Bijan Robinson with Texas having 3 losses and looking at the rest of their schedule. Maybe not. Well, yeah, maybe one more along the way in Baylor in a couple weeks, maybe even Iowa State. Like, I mean, I'd say if this team goes 8-4, it'd be hard for Bijan Robinson to crack. Yeah, no, I guess crack top 5.
Like
Yeah,
it's like the last non-championship team with a Heisman winner or Heisman that was not, a quarterback was the 1999. His name's
Ron Dane.
yeah.
Ron Dane. Yeah, you mentioned the last pod. Yeah.
Right. So it is tough. I will say not that voters do this, but I did send you that tweet of Jim Nagy talking a little bit about how Bijan Robinson is a lot better on all 22 than on TV. And that's something that obviously we don't have access to, but I'm looking forward to once we turn the page to the draft and looking to see that. I am looking forward to seeing Bijan Robinson, that aspect more.
Yeah, I agree, and I saw that, and I was wondering how much better could he look than he already has, but
yeah,
we'll have
he
to
looks
see.
great. He looks great. It's just not on a great team, and I don't know, a first-year head coach in a really deep conference, so it's going to be hard.
Yeah, so I totally agree. So like Bijan Robinson, I'm gonna switch out. I'm gonna go from the bottom up. So I'm gonna go number 5. I'm gonna put CJ Stroud there because Ohio State still got a strong case for the playoff. Granted, the argument would be them having more top 25 wins over Oregon, despite Oregon beating them head to head on the road. The playoff committee gives me headaches sometimes, but I mean, I'm sure that's the case for a lot of people. Anyway, so I got 5 CJ Stroud. Number 4, I think it's kind of I don't know, man. I don't know if I can put Bryce Young at number 4 with him being a Bama quarterback on a front runner with really great numbers too. Low interception numbers, high touchdowns. So I mean, at number 4, I'm gonna put Kenny Pickett there at number 4, in my opinion. I'm putting Kenny Pickett at number 4 for Pitt because I mean his numbers are amazing too. 21 touchdowns, 1 interception. But the whole ACC perception, I'd say if he doesn't beat Clemson, the campaign might be over. But then again, I mean, they're still front runners in their division. I guess 10-3 Pitt team in the New Year's Six. Maybe that gets them some Heisman consideration, but it doesn't sound as good as like a 11-2 or 12-1 Pitt team with the win over Clemson. So that's how I view Kenny Pickett. I got him at 4th. Number 3, I got Bryce Young. Because Bama, like you said, numbers, front runner on our team, feels a lot like Tua Tagovailoa's run in 2018 and 2019, where like there really wasn't a standout, it wasn't much of a moment, but just Alabama dominating teams over and over again. Feels a lot like that. And I guess it's more of a consistency Heisman sort of campaign instead of a highlight reel campaign like Lamar Jackson's campaign. I guess Tim Tebow's in 07, like any generational player that won the Heisman. So I got Bryce Young at 3, 2, Kenneth Walker.
There were people saying that Trevor Lawrence should have won it last year as a lifetime achievement award, which is ridiculous, but people think that way. So that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like, I mean, you can have a really consistent season and just mow everyone down. Like that's how Troy Smith won the Heisman in 06. Like Ohio State nearly went wire to wire in 2006 until they ran into Florida in the national title game. But yeah, Troy Smith and that was like one of the I guess what is it, the biggest blowout races. I mean, I can't really find the opposite. That was one of the more distant races of
Troy
all time.
Smith was like obviously the Heisman winner. It was, it was done before, you didn't even have to tune in. You knew Troy Smith was winning until they lost. And what was it, like a 27-point loss in the national championship?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so I guess enough on that, Stu. So just to recap, I got excuse me. Just to recap, I have CJ Stroud at 5, Kenny Pickett at 4, and then Bryce Young at 3, 2, Kenneth Walker. He was affected a little bit by a kind of a weaker performance against Indiana, but he's got huge games coming up against Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, and they're going to feed Kenneth Walker. Peyton Thorne is throwing the ball really well for the most part. I mean, that play action game should be strong. If Thorne can get the play action game going strong for the Spartans, open up holes for Walker, we might see Walker take over the first spot. And I got to say, I agree with you on Desmond Ridder. Maybe it's wishful thinking, but Cincinnati is one of the better stories. I mean, out of all the playoff frontrunners, Cincinnati is the best story. They've looked dominant. I mean, a lot of the games in conference have looked over at halftime. I mean, even against UCF, dominant performance. Cincinnati was up huge at halftime. Ritter was playing well. And again, like you said, I mean, they didn't win because of him at Notre Dame. Defense played well, but I mean, they didn't win in spite of him. That's a key factor to put in, that they didn't win it in spite of him. So Ritter and Walker, I think, are interchangeable at 1 and 2. What I would like to see, and this is not out of any bias for Alabama. Alabama's had their time with their Heisman winners. I kind of want to see I want to see Bama lose another one. So I guess get Bryce Young out of the race and get another guy in there. Like, who knows? If San Diego State goes 13-0, maybe you see a Greg Bell for San Diego State in the race. Maybe see Sincere McCormick out of UTSA. Again, wishful thinking, but you just don't know anything this year.
Yeah, you really don't. We've said it many times on here before. This year is just it's chaotic as opposed to weird. Bama just doesn't look quite like Bama. So, I mean, obviously with the A&M loss, but they're not as dominant as they have been in years past. Thankfully, makes for more entertaining football and all that. But yeah, I don't see Sincere McCormick jumping in, but wishful thinking, right? I wish that he could. So we'll see. Sorry if we both seem a bit distracted. I'm sure you're keeping an eye on it. App State getting the ball back with a couple minutes left, tied up with Coastal Carolina right now as we're recording this late Wednesday night. So who knows? Maybe another undefeated group of 5 team falls while we're recording this.
And who could forget actually? I mean, if Coastal Carolina pulls this one through, Grayson McCall too could sneak in. That's probably more realistic than Greg Bell or Sincere McCormick. But
Probably,
um,
probably.
I can see by when it's all said and done, if Grayson McCall stays for all 5 years of his career at Coastal, I think he's going to go to New York at least once as a Heisman finalist.
I hope so. I hope so. He certainly deserves it. And I mean, like we said before, if you're playing well, the scouts will find you. I know that a lot of beat writers and USA Today columnists don't exactly do their research on a lot of these guys. The NFL does, and they're paying a lot of attention to Grayson McCall. You can bet that. So we'll certainly see him. I was about to say New York, at least for the draft, but it's not there anymore. So kind of moving on to games of the week to watch. I didn't do an awards focus on this week, but maybe we'll start doing that next week. Omar, what are some of your games to watch? And not fastest 3 bowls, although if you're not tuning in for Monday night halftime with us on Instagram, you should. But not fastest 3 bowls. How about Omar's take your time 5 games to watch?
Yeah. So, hey, I gotta ask you, Jackson, what is the one matchup in Division One, FCS and FBS between undefeated teams? There's only one.
Oh shoot, that's a good question. Um, it's not any of the ones that I have listed. What is it?
It is Harvard versus Princeton. Both teams 5-0, meeting up in Princeton, New Jersey. An
How did
amazing
game
time
day
for the
miss
Ivy
that?
League.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of pissed that game they didn't. They went to Oregon, UCLA for a game for Rose Bowl implications, which Rose Bowl is great. I absolutely love the Rose Bowl, but it's Harvard and Princeton, still two of the biggest brands in the sport. 5-0, amazing, just amazing things at stake. I mean, you got Aaron Shamklin running the ball great for the Crimson, 65 carries, 468 yards, very efficient. You got you got Princeton's quarterback Cole Smith, 10 touchdowns, 2 picks for the Tigers, following the tradition of great quarterbacks that they've had, whether it's John Lovett, played H-Winter to playing H-back for the Chiefs on their practice squad. Whether it's a guy like Charles Kanoff, the first ever starting quarterback of the LA Wildcats, or even a guy like Kevin Davidson, the pride of Princeton, who was an undrafted free agent out of Brown. I mean, excuse me, undrafted free agent for the Cleveland Browns. Sorry, too much Ivy League on my mind. But just an amazing game. ESPN Plus. Both teams 5-0. There's 3 unbeatens in the Ivy League, which I mean, I'm kind of tipping off my next pick. But yeah, so I think game day should have been there. Game day really missed out, especially with the Ivy League being ESPN inventory. Like, how do you not put that game on ESPNU? How do you not flex that game to ESPNU?
I
We
think
better just move on, Jackson.
like when was the last time they were in the state of California? I honestly can't remember. And I watch game day every week. I think that might be part of it because I know on their initial like tweet and Insta post and all that, they're like, we're coming back to Cali or something like that. I don't know. It might have been a minute, it might not have been. I'm not sure. But yeah, no, they certainly didn't miss that opportunity. That would have been really cool. I know that they've gone to Ivies before. So it's not like, it just would be uncharted territory going there or something like that. But hopefully someday. That is also when Omar said he would go, is next time that they're at an Ivy League school, Ivy League campus. Right?
Yeah. I mean, shoot, I didn't say. I don't think I said that much, but I mean, I would love to go. I would love to go.
I hope you texted that because I'm gonna go back and find that. But I'll go to the utter opposite of the spectrum. I'm gonna go Clemson Pittsburgh on this one. It is really a chance for Kenny Pickett to showcase his talents on ESPN mid-afternoon when many will be watching. Pitt got embarrassed by Clemson last year, 52-17. This is still like everyone's saying, oh, Clemson's, not great. I mean, they're still 5-2. They're still a good team. They're not great college football playoff caliber like they have literally every single year in the playoffs existence almost. But gosh, like they're still a good football team. It's still going to be a challenging game for Pittsburgh. And Pickett, I mean, there are plenty of Clemson fans out there and plenty of people that are interested in Clemson football. This is a chance for him to really display himself on ESPN.
I totally agree. And honestly, that would have been another good pick for game day too, coming to Pitt. I mean, I think they've went to Pitt once, and that might have been that 2009 Cincinnati game that for the Big East title. I think I don't know. I'll have to look it up, but I think they've been to Pitt before, or maybe not actually. I may be misrecalling, but yeah. And this, I won't say it's a changing the guard in the ACC, but this year, like, who would have thought that Pitt Clemson would have such huge implications for the ACC title? I'm excited for sure. I mean, Kenny Pickett. I think the experience will shine through for Kenny Pickett. So my second of 2 Ivy League games. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, everyone's talking about UTEP. I mean, UTEP's a great story, but Jackson? This seems like Ivy League trivia. How many Ivy League titles does Columbia have? The Columbia Lions out in New York.
As many as Georgia Tech has SEC titles, like 5. I don't know.
They have 1 title.
Okay.
They have 1 title all time. Columbia once had I forget how many games. I think they had over a 40-game losing streak. Columbia was really one of the worst programs in Division I.
Gosh.
Yeah, like one of the worst programs. And they actually wore 1961 throwbacks to honor that team that won the title. So, I mean, maybe it's a good omen for this team. That 61 team went 6-3, but Columbia is 4-1 in the Ivy League right now. It's an exciting time. They did lose to Princeton, so they better hope that Princeton loses 2 down the road. But they got Friday night national TV against Dartmouth Memorial Stadium in the woods of Hanover, New Hampshire. We've talked about that Dartmouth running game. We love it. We love it so much. We love that quarterback duo of Nick Howard and Derek Kyler, with Howard running for 482 yards on only 67 carries, 9 touchdowns. We got Derek Kyler throwing the ball, 9 touchdowns and not a single pick. I mean, Columbia likes to run the ball as well. I mean, you got Dante Miller, 69 carries for 549 yards. This game will be a really tough showdown. on a Friday night, 6 p.m. ESPNU. And, just a little bit of a history lesson for everyone here. The number one song, so man, voice crack, I'm getting excited. Another one. Sorry, yeah. So the number one song at season's end for when Columbia last won their only Ivy League title, number one was Big Bad John. Number two was Run Around Sue. Keep away from a run around Sue. Oh, hey, hey. That song, Dion. Yeah, so that's what the top charts looked like. And the top movie at that time was King of Kings, a biblical epic film, which I've never seen. It was about Jesus, starring Jeffrey Hunter. And the price of gas in 1961 at that time was a measly 31 cents per gallon. So really excited for the Columbia Lions. Honestly, only one Ivy League title, strong tradition, 1934 Rose Bowl champs with Lou Little as their coach. Just a beautiful story. Jump on. It's not a bandwagon. It's the Columbia Ivy League title subway train.
I don't really even know what to say. That was out of left field.
Jackson, I'm excited. I'm excited.
I feel like I'm watching mixed back trivia on GMFB. Wow, that was really out there. Okay, moving on to Oklahoma State, Iowa State, 3:30 Eastern time on Fox this Saturday. Iowa State may be the best two-loss team in the nation. Alan, even to bring up number one songs from the 60s or whatever to prove this one, man. They're averaging 441 yards per game, which is a lot for an Iowa State team. I was very surprised when I read that. And it's a balanced attack with 250 of those being passing yards and 187 being rushing yards. They're ranked even higher in the nation statistically in averaging 34 points per game. So they're scoring a lot of points as well to go along with it. Their defense, they're only giving up 268 points, or excuse me, 268 yards and 16 points. Vegas also buys into this because they're a 7-point favorite at home versus undefeated Oklahoma State. The Big 12 is just going to be utter chaos. And although, as we were looking forward to a really heavyweight matchup and Bedlam this year, man, Iowa State could really ruin that and just leave the table wide open for Baylor, Oklahoma State still. Oklahoma, I mean, it's anyone's conference almost at that point.
I think people are overlooking like the amount of parity in the Big 12. I mean, Oklahoma State, Baylor still got a chance. I mean, because the conference.
If Oklahoma hadn't gone to the playoff like what 2 or 3 times, whatever it was, like this would be getting a lot of attention. I feel like.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, like the conference championship, it's the top 2 teams. So realistically, all those teams are alive. They just got to finish second in the conference. I mean, win all the tiebreakers as well to get in the title game. I mean, Iowa State, yeah, they have one conference loss too. So yeah, like you said, like even they're still alive. I know we wrote them off after they lost to Iowa and then like lost another one too. But I mean, Iowa State, man, like Breece Hall, I mean, Brock Purdy too. I mean, having Brock Purdy capping an illustrious career. They're still alive down there in Ames, Iowa. And I mean, shoot, I've been paying as much attention to the Big 12 too, because I kind of wrote them off and I kind of wrote off Baylor as well, but Baylor came back strong last week against BYU. I mean, not just a game I thought was going to be close, but they won decisively against the Cougars.
Yeah, no, they're gaining a lot of attention. I know I'm looking forward to that November 13th matchup. Oklahoma, like I said last week, Baylor still has Oklahoma and Texas at home, 2 places that are really tough to win at. And obviously they lost on the road to Oklahoma State. So they play strong at home. Their biggest challenges are in McLean Stadium. So hopefully we can see them kind of pull that off a little bit and create some chaos in Big 12, because why not? I think it is really fascinating that it's the top 2 teams of the conference. And like you said, it just leaves it wide open.
Yeah, I mean, it should be exciting. Like, and again, don't be like me. Don't write off the Big 12. I mean, check out this game. I mean, if you can, for sure. Going on to my next game, I think I might have an FCS clean sweep today. Tim Damore out of Fordham, the best quarterback that you have never heard of, threw for 6 touchdowns in the first half against Bucknell in a 66-21 victory over the defending Patriot League South champions, the Bucknell Bison. This man, Tim Damore, has 21 touchdowns, 5 picks, 1,967 yards. in 7 games for the Fordham Rams. I mean, especially, I mean, the yards aren't that high, but the passing touchdowns is what stands out for Damore at. Damore might get attention from the Hula Bowl, maybe even the Shrine Bowl as well. And we love our nicknames. Is that what you're gonna signal in the nicknames that we got? Because we got a few nicknames for Tim Damore. We got Jackson called him Tutty Tim. For me, I tried a couple times the Jesuit Cannon with Fordham being a Jesuit school. Uh, Lehigh Football Nation, a great account to follow if you love Patriot League football, not just Lehigh. He called him Tim Discorat. I can't believe I didn't think about that. Works perfectly. My favorite one, I love the Josh Allen of the B train. The B train being the train that leads to Fordham's campus. They both wear number 17. So this weekend, you got Lehigh at 0-6, Fordham at 4-3. I mean, another big performance from Tim Discorat, the Josh Allen of the B train. Just look out for Tim Damore, and honestly, do not be surprised if you see him in Vegas or you see him in Orlando now this year for the Hula Bowl. But this man is every bit as good as people say, I think. I mean, I watched him once. He tore apart Holy Cross's defense last spring. And that game's at 1 o'clock on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, man, you let us know, the listener, Tutty Timmy or the Josh Allen of the B train. You let us know which one you prefer. But yeah, man, as we're speaking, they are storming the field at Kid Brewer Stadium. Number 14, Coastal Carolina is knocked off on the road at Appalachian State. So if you don't tune in to Wednesday Night Football, because I promise you have nothing else better to do than to watch Wednesday Night Football on ESPN2. So gosh, I know we're gonna be talking a lot about that Monday night, because we talked about Coastal Carolina and some of the bowl implications. Was it this week or last week?
I think might have been this week, or I think we're talking about this
I can't
week.
remember.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about Coastal Carolina this. I know that's going to be make a big difference in bowl shape. And man, gosh, the group of 5, that's wild. Yeah, I don't even know what to say. But man, we're gonna have to go over that. I'll go ahead. I'll move on to my next game. I've got Nevada at Fresno State as I'm moving out of the Power 5. This is number 2 versus number 3 in the Mountain West Division. Both teams have yet to play San Diego State, so this division is just as much Nevada's and Fresno State's as it is SDSU's. It is just as winnable. Fresno State, a ridiculous offense, averaging almost 500 yards per game. Their defense coming off of a 4-interception shutout performance last week versus Wyoming. So, man, Fresno State's on a hot streak right now, even after the loss to Hawaii, which we won't talk about. But that's going to be, I feel like, the game to watch, 7 o'clock Eastern on Fox Sports 2.
Yeah, the Mountain West has some absolute bangers this weekend, because that leads into my next game as well. I mean, really a contrast. You got Carson Strong versus Jake Haener in Nevada, Fresno State. We got San Diego State Air Force, 2 teams that, of course, love to run the ball. Oh, was that yours?
That was my game. What are the odds? We never.
All right. Hey, well, okay.
No, go for it. You take it. I'll find something else. But man,
okay, yeah. Well, it's interesting because Air Force is a 3-point favorite on the ranked and undefeated San Diego State Aztecs, and San Diego State has looked vulnerable at times, namely last week, as you had mentioned, against San Jose State, taking 2 overtimes to beat a San Jose State team without Nick Starkel, a team that has looked different. I mean, all due respect to Nick Nash, but the team has looked a bit different without Nick Starkel under center. So really should be a good game. I don't know if this game has much New Year's 6 implications with Cincinnati there. And as we talked about the ruling that Heather Dinich reported, that if Cincinnati makes a playoff, that is the group of 5's New Year's 6 slot, which is a crying shame. But just a great game. I mean, this is Air Force's best start since 2002. When they started, I think it was 5-0, and then they hosted Notre Dame, and I think College Game Day even went to the Air Force Academy. And honestly, College Game Day just missed so hard. We've named 3 games that they could have gone to. Like, they could. I mean, when's the last time they went to the Air Force Academy? Like, it's the Air Force Academy,
a
man.
long time ago.
Yeah, like it's the Air Force Academy. I don't understand why you pick I mean, I won't say run-of-the-mill Pac-12 game, but a game that has, at the moment, very little playoff implications. Because isn't that what ESPN loves, to promote the playoff because it's their inventory? I digress. I'm frustrated right now. I mean, Jackson, you can some players to watch before I pass it off to you in frustration. Brad Roberts. Brad Roberts is the absolute workhorse for Air Force. I'm sure you're going to talk about him, Jackson, but he's got 178 carries, 818 yards. In his past 3 games, he's had 29 carries, 33 carries, and 28 carries. Just, and I mean, a classic fullback. Like, what's not to love about that? Unless you're a Navy or Army fan, which in that case, you're kind of scared. So, um, yeah. San Diego State Air Force, 7 o'clock on the CBS Sports Network. And I do believe that Rich Waltz is on the call for that one, friend of the podcast.
Oh, awesome. I did not know that. That's definitely going to be a game to watch. I started making the argument when I was typing this out about how Nevada and Fresno State are going to scoreboard watch. I was like, who am I kidding? They both still play San Diego State. So it's like, it's still very winnable for them. But yeah, I mean, the Air Force Academy is not an easy place to play. I was gonna say that it's maybe their best team since 2015. You went all the way back to 2002. San Diego State, I know, won it back to back in 15 and 16. So it may be their best team since then as well. But gosh, yeah, that's gonna be an entertaining one to watch. I am scrambling to find another game. There's none that really look super interesting. At least
Jackson.
go
I
ahead
mean,
and
I think there is one game. There is one game that I think
go for
you're missing that would both mean a lot to both of us, or at least to me.
What is it?
Holy Cross Colgate
Oh my
at
gosh, yes. How did I not mention that?
brand spanking new Polar Park, the home of the Worcester Red Sox. Just a great game, 2 historic programs, and I'm about to wax romantically about the historic programs. I already talked about on the podcast with James, the Crusader football blog, but Holy Cross in their many titanic battles against Boston College at Braves Field, Fenway Park, you name it, and then Colgate with many games of the past at the Polo Grounds, home of the Giants, both football and baseball, and the New York Titans in their infantile years in the American Football League. I mean, these teams have played many clashes in ballparks before. 2 historic programs. You got Holy Cross making Orange Bowls, making the 1946 Orange Bowl. Many college football Hall of Famers. Gordy Lockbaum, the last great Iron Man of college football, a man who finished third in the Heisman race for Holy Cross. I mean, you even got for Colgate, you got the 1932. I mean, I bet Jackson can finish this phrase with me because I've said it so many times. Undefeated, untied, unscored upon, and uninvited Colgate team to the Rose Bowl. And I'm sort of turning on my radio voice talking about it, but it's a great game. I mean, ESPN Plus, 5 o'clock. You got Matt Sluka, the Zach Wilson, the Seven Hills splitting snaps with Marco Siderman. Just a great team. Colgate's on the come up after a frustrating spring that they've had and some coach turnaround. A great game. And if you're a purist for the game and love ballpark football, why not watch this game? I mean, Grant Brenneman, a great dual threat for the Colgate Raiders. He's got 680 passing yards, 235 rushing yards. What's not to love for this game? I mean, I think it'll be a hard fought game, but Jackson, I'm disappointed that I had to bring this one up to you, man. After you couldn't get me to shut up on the podcast in the past few weeks about this game.
Man, you're right. I can't believe I missed that. Gosh, I'll have to talk about whoever Holy Cross plays next week. You probably have their schedule memorized through their, I don't know, 2030 out of conference schedule. Man, I'm going to go ahead. I'll go into my final game of the week. And I think you know exactly the game I'm going to talk about here. Wake Forest at Army. I'm going to go in with a back-to-back Service Academy game. Wake Forest is undefeated and atop the ACC at the moment. Omar, trivia time. When was the last time Army beat a ranked opponent? Almost victories versus Oklahoma.
1972 against Air Force. The first commander.
Yes. Wow.
You don't think I don't know this, Jackson? You don't think I don't know this?
You're right. It was a 17-14.
You don't think it haunts me?
Versus Air Force back in 1972. So I don't know. Maybe they'll get one next year for the 50th anniversary, but not this year. So.
Okay.
Maybe they could do like Georgia did for for their national championship and have a patch. We beat a top 25 team 50 years ago.
You laugh now, man, but people were laughing when before Bowling Green played Minnesota. People were laughing I know I was laughing when ULM played Liberty last week. You laugh now, man, but there have been some wild upsets this year. So you literally can't tell. There's a reason it's only a 3-point spread, Jackson. There's a reason for that. That's all I'm
Wait,
gonna say.
we're on the spread.
It's only a 3-point spread for Wake Forest.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. I was getting confused there. So Wake Forest is supposed to win. Okay.
Only by 3. I mean, you wouldn't expect that for a number 16 team playing a group of 5 school, but they're on the road, granted. So
I mean, West Point did almost throw a parade for barely losing to Oklahoma. So maybe so.
West Point, well, I mean, Army matches way better against Wake Forest than they do against Wisconsin. I will say that. Wisconsin's just got bigger players, bigger athletes. I mean, Wake Forest, I won't say they recruit the same players, but Wake Forest is academic standards, So that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not saying they'll win, but
In
don't be
exchange, you
surprised.
can make your best. No, we didn't even throw a shoe joke at me, too. So.
No, it's okay. I already said on Twitter. I mean, I don't need to say it again, man. We were just looking ahead to the ranked team. That's all. We didn't care about Wisconsin and Cam Randall. We were just looking ahead to the ranked team. Yeah. So I'm gonna get off that topic. Jackson, if you have anything.
I do not. I do not. I mean, this week isn't the best week that we've had, and it's every week that we say that the wildest stuff happens. So we'll see. I mean, I can't wait for Saturday to see what's going to go down with it. I was looking ahead the schedule a little bit. Not November 13th day is packed. I think there's already 3 top 25 matchups. Gosh, that's going to be a very busy weekend for us both. So I'm looking forward to seeing that week. But hey, I mean, gosh, it's hard to believe we're already over halfway through the regular season. It feels like it was just yesterday that we couldn't wait for week 0. And now we're already, look at us now. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see who's the quickest to 1,000 yards receiving, as we just talked about the Biletnikoff. And do you know what award we're doing next week yet? Or we still got to figure that out?
We still got to figure that out. Yeah. Well, we'll discuss it, but
Yeah,
I'll leave
we'll
that up
figure
to
it out.
you.
We'll see.
I'll leave that
I
up
mean,
to
who
you.
knows? There might be a couple great performances that we just can't not mention next week. So we'll figure it out.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. And till next time, peace, love, and soul, everyone.